Alright, so we're gonna read notes toward a Neo-Luddite manifesto by Chellis Glendinning. Damn it! My apologies. Chellis Glendinning. Glendinning. I don't know why, that sounds like a Scottish name. Alright, notes for a Neo-Luddite manifesto. I have no idea what Neo-Luddite mean. Right, barraged by technologies. Desperate Neo-Luddites. What is technology? Principles of Neo-Luddism. Nice. Critiquing technology. Program for the future. And technology by and for the people. I mean, sounds interesting, I suppose. Alright, most students of European history dismissed the Luddites of the 19th century England as reckless machine smashers and vandals, worthy of mention only for their daring tactics. Daring? Yeah. Not at all fancy rhetorics we start out. Daring tactics? Maybe reckless tactics is... Alright. I don't know if smashing electronics as a daring tactic. Actually, now that I think about it, alright, I'm just assuming that, yeah, right, machine smashers, that was their political activism, right? They smashed machines.
I'm a leaf on the wind.
And as far as political activism, like, let's call it extreme or reckless activism, there is way worse things to do, right? I'm assuming they didn't kill people, so, or hurt people, they just destroyed machinery. And I think, like, as an extreme form of political activism, that's not so bad. Right. That's an assumption on my part, right? I don't know what the text is about yet, but that's my assumption. All right. Probing beyond this interpretation, though, we find a complex, thoughtful, and little understood social movement whose roots lay in a clash between two worldviews. Nice. I mean, that's charitable interpretations, right? If we look into what people are doing and why they are doing stuff, we will find people that have ideas and reasons for their actions. Definitely. Alright. The worldview that 19th century Luddites challenged was that of the laissez-faire capitalism. I don't know what that is. With its increasing amalgamation of power, resources, and wealth, rationalized by its emphasis on progress. Alright, progress. Alright, what is this? Laissez-faire capitalism? Need to check that out. Wow, I love these definitions. Laissez-faire, same as laissez-faire. Alternative form of laissez-faire. I mean, it's nice. Alright, Wikipedia maybe knows. Banana Waffle says laissez-faire means minimum interaction. Oh, nice. Thanks. In this context, it means less restrictive. Yeah, it means the government should stay the fuck out of... Yeah, we do have capitalism, and it's like... Laissez... Alright, the Z is silent. Laissez... Yeah, there we go. Laissez-faire. Fair. Laissez-faire? Fair. There we go. Laissez-faire. Oh, we could have just pressed listen. Alright. Let do. Exactly. It's kind of... probably similar to the anarcho-capitalists today, right? Anarcho-capitalism, who just want the government to stay the fuck out and let capitalism do its thing. Yeah. right? Which is right? Yeah, that's similar to a lot of problem people have when they talk about the problems of capitalism today, right? That they just do a lot of shit that is damaging to the people and whatnot. I would say a lot of these problems are derived from consumerism, which I don't think is a necessary consequence of capitalism. Right. There's nothing in capitalism that necessitate, like my understanding of capitalism anyway, is that it doesn't necessitate, like it doesn't have to lead to amalgamation of power, resources, and wealth. That's consumerism, just consume more and more and more and more and more and more. Capitalism doesn't necessarily mean that you need to get more and more and more and more and more and more. But it has. And maybe that's how humans work within capitalism, so maybe it is a problem of capitalism. Maybe capitalism leads to consumerism. Who knows? Alright. The worldview they supported was an older, more decentralized one, espousing the interconnectedness of work, community, and family through craft guilds, village networks, and townships. I mean, in general, I'm in favor of a decentralizing attitude, right? But I also like mass production, so there's probably something in between these two ideas that I like. They saw the new machines that owners introduced into their workplaces, the gig mills and the shearing frames, as threats not only to their jobs. Hate that argument, it does not convince me. Threats to jobs, that's dumb. Yeah. No. Alright, shearing frames as threats to the quality of their lives and the structure of the communities they loved. Alright. So, threats to jobs, that's just dumb. Right, quality of life, yeah, if it is a threat to the quality of life of people, then yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, the machines themselves, I don't see how the machines, like machines are just tools. So it's got to be the capitalistic introduction of mass-producing machines, right? Yeah, a machine is just a tool. Guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. Machines do not lower the quality of your life. That's not what they do. Machines have very straightforward operational and functional stuff that you do with them. Right. And I get, like, that's the social order, how, like, the structure of the communities gets changed, right, by tools. But I would say these tools if I am understanding this correctly, I think this whole idea is misguided. At the structure of the communities, because my understanding of humans is that we tend to take the path of least resistance, right? If we know of two ways to achieve a certain goal, and one way is doubled in efficiency, we will do the double of efficiency thing, right? That's just how it is, right? And efficiency here, I understand, is vague, but right, where it costs less work. not necessarily, it costs less work for me, right? Like instead of using an abacus, I just use my computer and to do the math. For me, that is less work. Maybe it's more work overall to create the machine, but I don't think so. I think the computers are efficient. I think that is kind of the whole point, the whole reason why computers are everywhere. Because they lead to less work for the human overall. Right? Part of my understanding of machines, or technology for that matter, is that the way I look at technology, this text probably looks at it differently, right? But my understanding of technology is, right, we create a tool that lessens the amount of work that a human has to make. And that's the whole point of it. That's my understanding. And just if we don't take a social view, if we just look at the individualistic view, like if we look at me as a person, that leaves more time for more quality of life. Just the more tools I have, it doesn't necessarily lead to quality of life, but it leaves me more time to do other stuff. Right? And that time can be filled with quality or not quality. So, yeah, this argument I reject. Threats to the job, that is a dumb attitude, because, like, jobs tend to suck. If they don't suck, then they're not a job, then they're a hobby. That's how I think about that. So jobs is just a means to an end. Right, quality of life. I don't think that machines can do that. I think that social structures can do that. So this last one I have to concede then, yeah. They had social structures that they loved. And that makes sense to me, right? And you have an older worldview that kind of implies that you feel that life was better before something happened, right? And that is when you become some sort of traditionalist. Because the structures that you have or had, you love those structures. And those structures were changed and you don't like it. And that's, right? When the status quo works for you, you want to keep the status quo. If you were more successful and had higher quality of life, if you had higher quality of life 30 years ago, then you want to go back to the system what it was like 30 years ago, right? That makes sense to me. That people want that, but that's egocentric, right? That's their emotions and their opinions. It's not a generalized argument, right? For me personally, right? I like progression, I like machines, I like technology. Therefore, and I did not like the community that I have had in the past, right? Has not worked for me. I would like to see improvements or progress to better that community for me. But that's opinions, and that's fine, right? And I guess that a lot of politics, I would guess, is balancing these two, right? People who wants progress and people who wants to stay true to traditions. That's if you want to make a binary thing like that. or a scale, I suppose. Yeah, balancing act between those things. A political pendulum. Yeah. So I think a neo-Luddite manifesto might be a good idea. Yeah, might be a good idea indeed. Right. In the end, destroying these machines was a last-ditch effort by a desperate people whose world lay on the verge of destruction. I don't know if I buy the word destruction here. Can't you just use at the verge of change, in the process of change? Right? Their world was in the process of change and they didn't like the change. And they tried to stop the change from happening by destroying the machines. Yeah, that makes sense to me, definitely. Alright, barraged by technologies. The current controversy over technology is reminiscent of that of the Luddite period. We too are being barraged by new generation of technologies. Two-way television, nice. Fiber optics, biotechnology, superconductivity, fusion energy, space weapons, supercomputers. We are indeed. And our social structures are not really... That's the opposite of the Luddite then. The people who want progress, the people who want social progress, those are the people who want to catch up, right? Catch up with the technology to change our social structures to fit with the technology ones. Right? So I would say that probably a lot of people would agree that a lot of this leads to social... Well, a lot of people would say that there are social problems connected to this thing, right? The new technologies comes with new social problems, depending on how people use them. Yeah. And one strategy is to just stop technology, and that's... I think it's a good idea to do the political... Yeah, the neo-Luddite manifesto for this. But ultimately, I think it's misguided. I think that it's gonna happen, right? We have started this process of progress, and I don't think it would take such a big political movement to slow this down. I mean, and I guess that's why this is a good thing, because it's slowing stuff down. It's not, right, just like all the ideologies, they talk about extreme, just stop and don't do this at all. But the actual consequence, for society, if a lot of people, the more people who care about this, it will just slow progress down and let us catch up. Yeah. Alright, we too are witnessing protest against the onslaught. A group of Berkeley students gathered in Sproul Plaza to kick and smash television sets as an act of therapy for the victims of technology. Yeah, I like that. Therapy. A Los Angeles businesswoman hiked onto Vandenberg Air Force Base and beat a weapons-related computer with a crowbar, bolt cutters, hammers, and cordless drill. Villagers in India resist the bulldozers cutting down their forest by wrapping their bodies around tree trunks. People living near Narita Airport in Japan sit on the tarmac to prevent airplanes from taking off and landing. West Germans climb up the smokestacks of factories to protest emissions that are causing acid rain, which is killing the Black Forest. Yeah, right? All of these people are doing these things. and I'll just want to point out that we can take this with a grain of salt. Like, I don't doubt that these people did all those things. You can take it with a grain of salt. Maybe they don't have the same... Right? They might not do it because of the reasons written in this text. But I can, like... I can go with that, right? Sure, they all did that for that reason. We can go with that. I don't have a problem with that. And there's probably more anecdotal evidence, right? There's probably more people doing the reckless vandalism, right? Because of these reasons. Actually, I had a friend who went to prison for... probably because of similar reasons. Yeah, Luddite reasons. He wrecked some stuff and went to prison for vandalism. Alright. Desperate neo-Luddites. Such acts echo the concerns and commitments of the 19th century Luddites. Neo-Luddites are 20th century citizens. Activists, workers, neighbors, social critics, and scholars. It's usually what it takes. It's usually, if you take a group of activists, this is what you find. Alright. They question the predominant modern worldview which preaches that unbridled technology represents progress. I mean, there is technological progress and then there is social progress. And unbridled technology does not equate social progress. I think it comes a lot of hand in hand, right? I guess mass production, right? If we take unbridled technology to mean a mass production, because that is kind of what it seems, right? It seems like mass production is what they're talking about. Rather than technological advancement. Yeah. And in my mind, mass production is progress towards something, right? Social progress. It's to a more democratized, like if I use that in a broad sense, a more democratized world, right? The more people that have access to tools, the more things those people can do, right? Because tools, like I said, from my point of view, they make you more efficient and you can do more stuff. The more tools you have, the more stuff you can make or do. You can do more stuff. And mass production of these tools will give people more power, right? Like, just having this makes me more powerful than someone that does not have this thing. Having access to the internet makes me more powerful than someone that does not have access to the internet, right? Man, I got a booger. Need to get rid of it. And so that is progress that makes the individual more powerful in that kind of sense. Well, I also have to concede, right, that what has happened is that it has also made people less powerful, right? The wealth gaps, right? People talk about the wealth gaps, that you don't get to decide what you do with your time. But you get less free time, but the free time that you actually have, you are more powerful within. But then there are a lot of people that end up that was annoying. A lot of people end up like working double jobs or double shifts or whatever, and they just work their whole lives and don't get any free time. Right? That happens. And there we go. That's the social progress that has led to that, I suppose. I don't think that is necessarily because of technology. Yeah, I think we can look at technological advancement in mass production, and we can look at social progress. Right? Because it's... Right? What are the most technologically advanced places in the world has more free time and are less, right? The working class in Sweden doesn't have it so bad, for example, which is one of the places with a lot of technology progress. Well, like America has the same kind of technological progress, but the working class in America, they working double shifts and double jobs. We don't do that in Sweden. We don't work double shifts or double jobs. That is illegal in Sweden, right? So that kind of example kind of implies to me that it's not a technology that, it does not represent social progress, and it does not necessitate progress in one way or the other. It changes what jobs people do, right? Instead of like having a table maker, like a carpenter that makes tables, you instead work in a table factory. And my argument is that, well, since the table factory is way more efficient and creates more tables, that should lead to more time, free time to the table maker. That's my political view, and I would probably agree with the neo-Luddites that working in this factory is probably a lower quality of life and than just being a carpenter and making your own table. I think you get a higher you get feelings of pride when you make your own table, right? Rather than just being a cog in the machine of the factory. So that's probably, yeah. And therein lies the balancing act, right? We can have factories that makes tables for the masses, but you can also be a carpenter that just makes your own table, luxury table, right? Handmade tables, and you sell them to the rich people. But if the rich people wants to have, right, that's the unbridled capitalism, right? If the rich people wants the mass-produced fancy tables, then the table maker will not get pride out of, the carpenter will not get that pride out of making that big fancy table, because if no one wants that table. Alright. So that is where the balancing act comes in, right? Who should we care about, the consumer or the worker? Since I kind of want to reduce the role of the worker to be as small as it can, right? That's the focus I want to do. I want to focus on the consumer, yeah. The consumer, because in the perfect, like if you take a utopia view of reality, I would say that the worker would not be a role in society. Yeah. And how do we reach that? technological progress, right? Where the technology does everything for us. I understand that that is an impossibility, but right, maybe your work week, instead of being, what is it now, 40 hours? Your work week would be 4 hours. Because all these problems become way less if the work week is 4 hours. Because then if you want to make a table and feel proud about it, you can do that. You don't have to sell it, right? You don't have to do it as a worker. You can do it as a hobby, right? You don't have to do it as a job. You can do it as a hobby and get that pride from your hobby. And you can keep your table for yourself. Or you can gift it away. Or you can use it to burn something, I don't know. And make a new one, right? You can improve making a new table every year, if you so choose. If you have all that time for hobbyism instead of working. And we get to that from mass production. That is a possible way to, that is a possible tool to use mass production. If we don't have mass production though, that does not eliminate the need of the worker. Right, Neo-Luddites have the courage to gaze at the full catastrophe of our century. Oh man, I find this so off-putting. When, right, my people of my ideology are courageous. We're so strong and so amazing. We're so much better than everyone else. We're courageous. And look at the trash of everyone else. I find this off-putting. Right. The technologies created and disseminated by modern Western societies are out of control and desecrating the fragile fabric. Right. So the Luddites are religious then. Right. Desecrating the fragile fabric of life on Earth. That's actually a very good point. Oh, even though I don't like the language of the thing. Right. All this mass production leads to, like, we do have some problems with our ecology, environment, like global warming and whatnot. Climate, yeah, climate different problems. Like, I've heard arguments multiple times that we are living in the 6th mass extinction. And that's kind of right. Our species as the catalyst for a mass extinction. That is kind of... That's not a good look, is it? It's not a good look. And that, right. If you go with that argument, I think that is more convincing than saying that you are more courageous than everyone else. Because if you say, oh, I'm more courageous than everyone else, that will definitely convince people, your current political opponents. You will definitely convince them when you call them, like, even though it's between the lines, right? But if you are the courageous ones, then the people who are against you are the cowards, right? So if you make me feel like a coward, will you convince me to agree to your point? That it's kind of implied, right? Or is it just me who reads that? I don't know. Right, but I have heard people argue for technological advancement to deal with this, right? The problem, no, actually, I think the Neo-Luddite thing, if that would be like a personal commitment to use less energy, a personal commitment to use less of the mass-produced stuff, right? And then we're talking about it, consumerism again. To be less about having more and more and more and more. That kind of addictive kind of behavior, if we can use this as an argument to change our own individual behavior to be a little bit more minimalist, to be a little less consumerist, to be a little less as a political act, I think that's probably a good idea. But there are many different arguments to reach that goal. You don't have to go through Luddism. But I suppose if you go the activist route and you start like destroying coal burning plants.
Take a deep breath, Hardigan. Settle down and think straight.
Right. What was the examples here? Yeah, like destroy the smokestack factories. Yeah, acid rain. Yeah, exactly. Prevent airplanes from flying. I don't think smashing TVs. I think that's a little bit vague. And that smashing TVs will also make you look like you're just reckless machine smashers and vandals, right? If you become more focused and organized as activists and destroy those specific factories that you've actually found a threat, right? Just don't say that technology is a threat. Specify, right? These are the worst technologies and attack those. Right? Like, I don't know. What about if you go around smashing solar panels? I don't know about that, right? Smashing TVs? I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, have more focus. I like that. Right, like the early Luddites, we too are a desperate people seeking to protect the livelihoods, communities and families we love, which lie on the verge of destruction. Change, right? We're going through changes. I'm going through changes, yeah. And, right, if stuff tends to the worse for you, then, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Protect that. Just be strategic, not just reckless, yeah. Strategic and tactical. And also be aware that you're smashing off the stuff. And if you want to, like, you would have to start a civil war to make that actually make a... Either you would, yeah, all the smashing, it's a rhetorical act, right? It's a political act. So be aware of that. Right. Destroying a coal factory, right, wouldn't do anything. You would need to destroy so many coal factories, right? And it would, like, that wouldn't even be enough, right? Because that would be destabilizing and lead to change, right? Because you are rocking the boat, so to speak. So the goal would have to be a political goal, right? Yeah. To reduce the usages of these technologies that you don't like. All right. What is technology? Just as recent social movements have challenged the idea that current models of gender roles, economic organization, and family structures are necessarily normal or natural, so the Neo-Luddite movement have come to acknowledge that technological progress and the kinds of technologies produced in our society are not simply the way things are. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that normal gender roles are both natural and normal, so this is just me nitpicking language. I don't dispute the idea that's left behind here. I don't think, anyway. Right? Norm is the norm, right? Normal males are attracted to females, and well, it's not even that, right? That's talking about biological differences, right? But within cultural norms, there is normal behavior, and like all that exists within nature is natural, right? It is natural to be heterosexual or bisexual or homosexual or non-binary or all those stuff. All that stuff is natural, right? Because they exist within nature. Some things are within the norm and are normal, or some things are abnormal, like outside of the norm, right? If only 5% of the population, like let's say 80% of the population is one certain way, right? If you can group 80% of the population, if you can group all of them in one type of group, then that would be the normal group. And the people outside, the 10% over here and the 10% over here, would be the abnormal or not normal, right? I just want to point out that it's normal doesn't mean good or bad. It's just, it's the norm, and that's outside of the norm. And I would say that the recent social movements has challenged what should be considered good or bad. What people like. Should we include the abnormal or the strange or whatever? Include them to be part of society and be welcomed by society. That is the recent social challenges. That's my understanding, right? Because I internalized it in a way that I like it. All right. But it all, like, Norm, it all depends on what population you're looking at, right? If you have a group of people and you take one trait that 80% of the people have, that's the normal. And if you take a group of 80 women and 80 females and 20 males, then it's abnormal to be a male in that group. There we go. Tried to be clear so there's no misunderstanding there. Right. All right. So I would say then, just to change this, you've come to acknowledge that technological progress and technologies produced in our society are not simply the way things are. I would say they are the things they, like, necessarily. That is the thing, the way things are. But it doesn't have to be, right? I would agree to that, right? And that's my understanding of this text, right? So I was just nitpicking at language, but that's my understanding of interpretation of what this paragraph meant. All right. As philosopher Lewis Mumford pointed out, technologies consisted of more than machines. It includes the techniques of operation and the social organization that makes a particular machine workable. Wait, oh right, this, I need to wrap around my head around that. He pointed out, right, he operationalized, he defined technology as this, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that this is how you have to define technology, because that is not where I come from. Right. They are not only the machines, but it is the people. Yeah, the people's knowledge and usage of the machine, right? Technology is not technology, right? So, from that kind of perspective, right? If you take that perspective on technology, right? The argument I made earlier about guns not killing people, people with guns kill people. From this kind of definition, if you rework technology to mean this, then guns do kill people. Right? That's their sole function, and they include the creation of the gun and the user of said gun. And from that definition, guns do kill people. So I'm actually a little bit curious here. Should I change my definition of technology and tools? I don't know. Right. In essence, a technology reflects a worldview. What? That doesn't work for me, no. Which particular form of technology, machines, techniques, and social organizations are spawned by our particular worldview depend on its perception of life, death, human potential, and the relationship of humans to another and to nature. Alright, so with the guns, right? They reflect a worldview that people want to kill people, or people want to kill animals. People want to kill things. Is that the worldview that guns reflect? And I mean, when we have enemies, we kill them. That's human nature, right? If they're like... I don't know. I don't understand, right? It's kind of... Right. Which particular forms of technology, machines, techniques, and social organizations are spawned by a particular worldview? Yeah. Depend on its perception of life, death, human potential, and relationship of humans one to another, to nature. Yeah, right. You don't start building a thing if you don't think people are gonna use it. That's... Well, you do. No, you do. But then it's not called technology. Then it is called art. Right? Technology is when you build a thing. I mean, technology is about building tools, right? That is technology, right? So, it depends on the perception of life, death, human potential, and the relationship, right? Yeah. You have the belief, the worldview. Hello, Saitama SSR. Nice to see you again. Hope you had a good time. Right. But you don't build a tool unless that tool is meant to be used. So yeah, definitely technology are spawned by a worldview. I agree with that. Right. Right. Like, do you have a spork? Like a spoon and a fork put together? That's a tool, right? Someone thought that people would want a spork. But then, right, that's why they built a thing. Or they built it as an art form, right? But if they made it as art, then it was not technology, right? Can art be technology? Techniques in operations, social organization. No. Maybe. It's vague. I would say that I would probably reject the idea that art is technology. Yeah, I would want to draw a hard line, and technology is about tool making. Yeah. Making tools. So sure. Technology reflects a worldview. Sure, I can agree with this. I'm still not sure about this first bit though. So I kind of want to know who Lewis Mumford and what Lewis Mumford said. Right. Right, Lewis Mumford. To the 1990 was an American historian, sociologist, philosopher of technology, and literary critic. Oh, nice, interesting. Particularly noted for his studies of cities and urban architecture, he had a broad career as a writer. Mumford made signal contributions. Right. Signal contributions to social philosophy, American literary and cultural history, and the history of technology. Mumford was influenced by the works of Scottish theorist Patrick Geddes, and worked closely with his associate, the British sociologist Victor Branford. Alright, ideas. Megatechnics, biotechnics, polytechnics, 3 epochs of civilization, mega machines, the clock as herald of the Industrial Revolution, urban civilization, suburbs, religion and spirituality. Which one are we looking for, do you think? Right? If we're looking for technology consists of more than machines, it is about operations and social organizations and usages. Saitama SS4 changes the title to The Joy, Comfort and Stress-Reducing Power of Technology. Nice. Right. It's probably this civilization thing. Technique and civilization. Books. The middle age? No. Alright. For now, I'll just try and be okay with this definition of technology. I'll try to use it. I don't think I'm adopting it personally, but I'll try to remember this. What is technology? It includes people. Right? So my argument falls flat. Where did I do that argument? I don't remember. I don't know. I think it becomes more about people, right? I see technology as an extension of humanity, right? We create a tool for something that we want to do. Right? And that is, we figure out how to do a thing and we do the thing. I think that is more about people and not about the technology itself. I would want to, separate. Personally, I would want to separate the word technology away from people and focus on the actual machines. Personally, I would do that. Right? So, but I'll just try to understand that we're not talking about my understanding of technology. We're talking about people. Right? When we talk about technology, then, we're talking about people, which actually, if that is the case, then I don't like neo-Luddism anymore, right? Because then, right, they were talking about destroying machines, destroying technology, but then we're no longer talking about just destroying the tools. We're talking about destroying worldviews. We're talking about destroying people, if you want to use neo-Luddite tactics, which I'm not okay with. When it was just destroying the actual machine and destroying the tool because you don't want said tool to be used in the way that it is being used. Yeah, I would prefer a separation of this definition. Alright, in contrast to the world views of a majority of cultures around the world, especially those of indigenous people, the view that lies at the foundation of modern technological society encourages a mechanistic approach to life, to rational thinking, efficiency, utilitarianism, scientific detachment, and the belief that a human place in nature is one of ownership and supremacy. I mean, I like all of these things. Here we go. I like all of these things. I like rational thinking. I like efficiency. I like utilitarianism. Not like... I'm not a utilitarianist. I'm not married to any ideology, but I use utilitarianistic arguments from time to time and I find them very useful. Right? Pun very much intended, yeah. Right, scientific detachment? Yes, definitely. I think all of those are nice things. And I think these are nice approaches to life. I don't see this as a mechanistic approach to life, right? An approach to life does not necessitate a belief, does it? I think you can be a scientist and be religious. Right? You can compartmentalize those things. I'm assuming that belief here is like a... I don't know, an ethical, metaphysical belief. That's what I understand. Like humans' place in nature is one of ownership and supremacy, right? I like all of these things, right? I like all of these things, but I don't believe this. Not for 1 second, no. I think this... It's not an... I don't even think it's a belief now that I think about it. I think this is an opinion. Yeah, I think this is an approach and an attitude to what to do about life. This is an opinion. And I don't see how this is connected to the other stuff, right? It kind of feels like it's just smuggled in here. Feels like it's smuggled in here. Where does this come from? The ownership and supremacy thing. Because so far, I mean, I respect most of the stuff and the opinions in this text, even though I might not hold all of them. Well, I don't... No, I agree with a lot of the opinions, I just don't agree with what the answers... Like, they feel that some stuff that happens in society are problematic. And I agree with those problems, I just... don't necessarily agree with how to solve those problems, right? This here, though, I don't know. Ownership and supremacy? Isn't this... Right. I would say that this, if we just look at this belief, this opinion that humans are in the center, we own and we are the supreme beings, isn't that a religious one? Especially monotheistic one, right? I'm thinking Christian belief here, right? Where the animals are below us, the animals and the plants, they are lesser than, and we decide everything that happened. They were put there just because we should have something to eat. Isn't that... rather than a rational, efficient, utilitarianistic, scientific way? That would be my guess, but I'm assuming some of my bias shows its way through here. Right. Majority of cultures. I would say, like, if this is the Christian one, Isn't like Christianity and like the monotheistic, they all have this, don't they? That would be the Abrahamic religions, right? Wouldn't that be the majority of the cultures around the world that has this worldview? Well, this opinionated way, like even if I don't have it, like I have a secular one. This feels like secular, and secular does not assume anything about this. About human ownership and supremacy, yeah. Secular worldview doesn't say anything about this. But there are indigenous that see themselves as part of nature, which makes a lot of sense to me, yeah. We're part of nature, we're part of reality. Saitama SS Forces. It's 2021 right now, right? That's what I hear, yeah. What year would it be if you had to minus 200 and... Do I have to do maths? What year would it be if you had to remove 2,221 years from it? Alright, if we remove 21, that's at 2000, right? And then we remove the 2000, then we're at year 0. So then we move 200, so that makes its year minus 200, right? So 200 BC, that would be it, wouldn't it? I'm not great at maths, but that's my quick calculation. So 200 BC. Yeah, minus 200 BC. Right, there we go. Before Christ. BC. We're AC now. Right, yeah. Majority of cultures, right? Well, I wouldn't say that calendar makes Christianity the major culture of the world, right? Like, I wouldn't say that. Maybe. Maybe the calendar is a cultural thing? I don't know. I mean, just because I speak English doesn't make me part of the British culture, necessarily, right? Oh, AD. I don't remember. What does AD stand for? I thought it was AC for after Christ, but no. So, that's history in almost every history book. It is used like that. BC and AD. Yeah, sure. After death. Oh, wow. After death. I wonder, right? I've heard about the Chinese, right? The Chinese have a different counting, right? In the Chinese history books. I'm not so sure. I mean, that's very... yeah, British-centric thinking. I'm not so sure. But also, I would argue that that a year is arbitrary. It's just a number, an arbitrary number. It could just have been a secular arbitrary number, right? And I don't think, like, that is gonna change anytime soon. Saitama SS Forces. I didn't even bring the Bible into this, but it's in the history books as BC, so... yeah, right? It's like... a lot of people celebrate Christmas, and they think it's a Christian holiday, right? It's not. Yuletide came way before Christmas. It's an old pagan holiday. Right? But most people that celebrate Christmas, like especially here where we are, like it's not a religious tradition. It's not a religious affair like at all. It's a consumeristic affair. Yeah. It's a modern, cultural, secular, consumeristic affair. Actually, Halloween is probably a better example. That's not religious either anymore, right? So for me, I can be happy saying that it is year 2021. I can be happy with that. And reject religions. Because it's just a number. And actually, something that has happened with the calendar. How long is a year? How long is the year? That's a scientific measurement, right? The length of a year is a scientific measurement indeed. So one could argue that the calendar, the length of a year, is not religious. It's secular. It's right? See, you can spin the calendar all kind of ways around, I think. Let's see. Saitama as his sources. It's currently 2021 after Christ, which means that the records have been kept by passing information down from one person to another. Actually, that's not completely true. Because the calendar has changed over those 2,000 years. I'm not 100% sure that... And actually, right? At the time of Christ, right? At year 0, it was not considered to be year 0. That was not the calendar. Actually, I'm curious. Calendar... If we just check for this. Do we have a Wikipedia calendar? Alright. History. So how long has this... Here we go. History of calendars. When did we start our modern... What's our calendar? Antiquity... What's our... It's the Gregorian, isn't it? Damn it, I don't know. So many. I guess the old Roman year had 304 days. Yeah, Roman, that's the Julian calendar, I guess. Actually, can we just search for Jesus? Wait, are you kidding? Oh, no, not Jesus. Christ. Christian Europe. Here we go. The oldest calendar of saints of the Church of Rome was compiled in the mid-4th century under Pope Julius I. Alright. We kind of assume that they had... Right, and they were using the 300... Yeah, so... Right? It is unclear, right? Year 0, if that was like... I'm not even sure. I assume that Jesus was a real person that lived. But I'm not sure that if our current day counting, if this Jesus was born 2021 years ago. I don't believe that. Yeah. I'm pretty convinced that with our current counting, we would not end up with 2021 years. So it's completely arbitrary. Look at that. Saitama is his forces. I'm not trying to convince you. Oh, I like this. I enjoy this type of discussion. Yeah. I'm just letting you know what I know. I know that the Lord is real. That is for certain. The Lord is real. That is for certain. Well, that's your opinion, right? It is not certain, because if it was certain, then everybody would know it, right? That's your worldview, and that's fine. Yeah. It is certain for you, right? It is a certainty for you. It is not a certainty for me. And I think it's fine, right? To have different worldviews. Nah, it's certain. Alright. Are you a literalist? Oh, too bad you missed the previous text. The limits of literalism. Alright. Deep breaths.
I'm gonna miss you when you go.
All right. So where were we? How did we get into calendars from this? All right. Different cultures, Christian cultures. My argument that the Abrahamic cultures, religions, are the majority, and that the majority do believe that the human place is of ownership and supremacy. Right, and that is how we got into calendars. Right. My calendar is just a tool. It's a technology, right? Especially from this definition, right? It's not only the actual paper that it's written on, it includes the technique of counting the years and the social organization to make the calendar workable. Which is an interesting point, right? The technology of the calendar, from my definition of technology, where it's just a tool, that becomes problematic with calendars. Because the calendar, right, as a technology, becomes pointless without the techniques to keep track of the years. And the social, the calendar would probably, it would just be the tool, which is part of the phone or part of the flipping of the papers. That's an interesting point. Saitama SS4 says, do you know how small a mustard seed is? No. I would guess that a mustard seed is just powder, right? Mustard seed? No. It was bigger than I thought. I thought mustard seeds were like powder size. It's kind of small. Right. It is small from the perspective of a human, right? For an ant, a mustard seed is probably quite big. But now I know. Kinda, right? It's different. Here we go. Is that... What is this? The faith? Small as a mustard seed? I've never heard that reference before. Saitama SS4 says you need to have faith as the size of the mustard seed in Jesus and you will be able to do the impossible. Oh, I don't have that, right? I have no faith, right? I don't have, like, there is none. It's not small, big. Like in any of the established religions. Yeah. Yeah. Right? I would say that if you need faith, then it's not certain. I like certainty, right? I like to find my own certainty. And I would say that faith necessarily means that it's not certainty. Because if you know for certain something, then you don't need faith, right? Because you know for certain, and if you know for certain, there's no need for faith. And if you need faith, then there is inherently no certainty there, right? But I would concede that there is no certainty in science either, right? You need faith in science as well, which I would concede. Definitely. Yeah. Saitama SS4 says, so how can you know one truth to another without having experience on both sides? I mean, truth is interesting, right? Truth is a very interesting concept, right? And there are different many theories of what truth is. My understanding of truth is that you have a system in place, right? A mental system, technology, if you so like, or like a rule. Let's call it a rule, where you use this rule, and this rule will end up looking at something and say, this is either true or false. And you can have different types of rule sets to do that. You can try one of these theories, right? Like there are some people that, for example, say that everything that is said in the Bible, that is truth. And everything that goes against that is false, right? I have my attitude of truth. My system that I like is one that uses rationality, empiricism, and especially pragmatic, right? My system is derived from the pragmatic theory of truth. But like, it's not, I wouldn't say like objectively, like my truth is necessarily the truth for everyone else, or I wouldn't necessarily say that everybody has to use the same system as me. I would argue for my system because I like my system, just as you like your system. But I wouldn't imply or enforce my system, because I have faith in my system. Yeah, there we go. Saitama says SS4, how can you not know without trying? You are uncertain then? Yes, I am uncertain. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You legit couldn't have the faith the size of a mustard seed. Something so small? You say no without trying? I mean, I have faith, right? I have faith in my methodology of finding out truth, right? Which is, it's not this exactly. It is it's derived from the pragmatic theory of truth, and I have faith in that one. Yeah, right. And I guess like faith is not something you decide to have. I don't know. You just say no without trying. Have you tried the pragmatic theory of truth? Have you tried the Hinduist worldview? I don't know. Yeah, I say no to a lot of stuff, right? I reject all the religious theories of truth based on the basic principle, right? The basic principle that there is a god or some gods that care, like out there, that care about my morality. That, yeah, I reject it because of that. Huh. Okay, well, I'll leave you to be uncertain. Yeah, and I'm happy being uncertain. Yeah, I mean, well, sometimes I feel certain, but I would prefer not to be, right? Because the certainty, from my worldview, right? From my worldview, there is no certainty. There is usefulness, but there is no certainty because of skepticism, yeah. Skepticism. Here we go. I concede skepticism. Where is it? The philosophical one. Not... Where is it? Right, skepticism is generally a questioning attitude or doubt toward one or more putative instances of knowledge, which are asserted to be mere belief or dogma. Yeah, formally, skepticism is a topic of interest in philosophy, particularly epistemology. Yeah, exactly. That's me. I would question most things, right? What can I know for certain? And I would probably go the Descartesian route and say, I think, well, I experience, therefore I am. That's what I would say. So, and then I would add upon that the Immanuel Kantian thing that I experience stuff. So what I feel that I can know for certain would be that I am experiencing stuff. Right? I exist and stuff exists. I would make no assumptions about what I am or what stuff are. Well, I make assumptions, but I concede that these are assumptions. They are beliefs or dogmas. Yeah, I am not certain about these assumptions, and that is the attitude that I want to have towards life. Yeah. From a philosophical standpoint, metaphysical standpoint. All right. What's that? I haven't seen that emote before. REW. It seems like someone is staring. I don't know. I'm terrible at reading faces. Yeah. I'm not good with faces. Or name. Well, I'm good at recognizing faces, but emotions, I suppose I'm not the best at. Alright, where are we? In contrast to the worldviews, we were somewhere here. Supremacy, right? The kinds of technologies that result in nuclear power plants, laser beams, and satellites. Yeah. This worldview has created... Right. This worldview, here it was pluralistic, right? It was pluralistic, right? Every technology stems from a worldview. So it's not one worldview. It is many different worldviews, right? One worldview has created nuclear power plants, and another worldview created laser beams, and another one created satellites, right? Or a collection of worldviews, rather. Yeah. This worldview has created and promoted the military, industrial, scientific media complex, multinational corporations, and urban sprawl. Yeah, I think this is where the text kind of makes a mistake by thinking that it's one singular worldview. Right? Yeah. Saitama SS4 is dancing. Oh, that's Sour Please. I've seen that before. Sour Please. But there are, yeah, many different worldviews and different understandings, right? I would say that, right? To create these things, that has been a scientific worldview. But the scientific worldview was kind of birthed through the Christian one, right? Because science... like properly formalized as a worldview and an idea, that kind of started out in Europe, right? So I don't know, is that a Christian worldview, or is it just a science worldview that has created all these things? I don't know, it depends on where you draw the line. And can you even draw the line at that? Is there a Christian worldview? I mean, aren't there like a million Christian worldviews, a billion Christian worldviews? Like every single individual has their own worldview, right? There are similarities between the worldviews and you can group them together. But I would say that, yeah, if you're looking at technology, right, you need a collection of individual ideas. Right, for example, to build a gun, I don't need to be... Yeah, you don't need to be religious or non-religious to build a gun. You only need to know how to do it and believe that there will be a use for it. And that's a collection of beliefs, right? Saitama says, Force, hey, I have a good question. How would you tell someone that the world is round? How I would tell someone? Alright. The world is round. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I could not resist. But that's how I would tell someone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I mean, I would probably show the pictures. Yeah, I would show the pictures. Yeah, like I would probably show the pictures. This is what it looks like from space, I would say. Wow. A lot of these are not photographs. That's interesting. They say it's all just edited. And I mean, sure, if you want, if that is your truth, I would argue against that truth, but yeah. Yeah, I would argue against it, but I would not assume that, again, right? I would not assume that you have to follow my way of creating truth. Like, that's from my way, right? From my way of judging true and falseness, I would say there are real pictures. People flying out from rockets, taking pictures down and seeing a round world. I wouldn't need that, but that would be the easiest way to show someone. Yeah, that would be the easiest way. And if they say it's just edited, then I would say, all right, well, that's just your opinion, man. Dude. Yeah. Lemao, okay. Wait. Why is that funny? Oh, you like The Big Lebowski? It's a great movie. Right. In essence, a technology reflects a worldview. Alright, wait, where were we? Yeah, so I think this is a mistaken understanding of the world, right? That there is a singular worldview that has created this thing. I think it is a collection of worldviews that has do that. Saitama SS4 says, "'Cause I legit would love to convince one of my mate that the world is round, but he's convinced." Yeah, alright. If you want to convince someone, right? I think one of the mistakes, right? And you say that you want to tell them. If you want to convince someone, then you have to honestly look at what are their beliefs and how does their system of truth work, right? If you argue from your perspective, you will not convince your friend, right? You would have to look at it from your friend's perspective. What does your friend believe? And then you try to find ways that way, right? If you want to convince someone. Yeah. Right? Just like you saying that you are certain that the Lord is real, that doesn't convince me, right? Because that is from your perspective. That will never convince someone that does not already share your perspective, and you will not convince anyone of anything from that. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. Yeah. I want to show them the proof. Right, but if they reject science, right, if they reject your proof, then the proof is meaningless to them, right? Your friend will find the proof meaningless. Laitama SS4 says, "'Cause there is gravity." There's the orbit, right? The moon is round. Yeah, and all those are proofs for you, right? If your worldview contains that understanding of gravity, then that makes sense to you. If your friend does not, like if they are one of these people that say that the earth is flat, then they have a complete different understanding of gravity, right? And you will not convince them through talking about gravity and orbits and the moon. But everyone sees that the moon is round. It's just not my view. Yeah. They can see that the moon is round, but they can say that the moon is round and flat, right? You don't see the... you can see it like a flat circle, like... do I have a round paper somewhere here? No, right? It doesn't have to be a ball, right? It can be a flat thing because it kind of looks two-dimensional, right? When you look at the moon, it looks two-dimensional. So maybe it is flat and round. Maybe our Earth is flat and round as well. It doesn't have to be square to be flat, right? Also, just because even if you convince them that the moon is round, that doesn't necessarily mean that the planet is round. From their point of view. Yeah. Well, that's my recommendation. Listen. Listen and understand their point of view. And then poke holes at it from their point of view. Yeah. Saitama SS4 says, I have, bro. Not successfully, you haven't. Also, then I would... Something else I would then also add to the thing is the stoicism. Something that I've been practicing is stoicism. Yeah. Stoicism. Actually, I don't need to. The stoicistic idea that the only thing that is in your control in your life is your own actions, right? You cannot control someone else's emotions or beliefs or whatever, right? It's not possible. And I could even argue that it's kind of rude to expect someone to change because of what you say, right? You wouldn't want him to be able to say the world is flat and then you believe that the world is flat. That would be kind of rude of him, right? If your bro had the mental capacity or magic capacity to just tell you that the world is flat and now you believe that the world is flat, right? That would be kind of rude towards you, wouldn't it? So I would say it's rude towards him to do the same thing, right? Maybe? Alright. What's your definition of success? Alright, that's the stoicistic idea, right? The stoicistic idea is that success is that you feel that you have made a good job to... from the stoicistic point of view, right? That you have made a good job in explaining your point of view and exploring their point of view. And you have found the... what's it called? The clash. You have found where the clash is. Where you go different ways of opinions. If you have found those, then you can accept that, alright, that's your opinion, this is my opinion. And that's fine. That would be the success in this kind of example. Yeah. But that, again, right, that's an attitude, right? That becomes, success is something subjective, right? It's what you feel is your success and what your perspective of success is. That's just... it's just a recommendation, right? There is nothing that says that you have to think the stoicistic way about success and seeing that as success. That's just my recommendation, yeah. Stoicism is a lot about finding inner peace, right? Because, yeah, I've done my due diligence and I can feel proud of what I did. And that is success. Yeah. Right. People are gonna do what people are gonna do, right? And that's where I've gone with the way, that's right. Who am I to tell someone else what they should or should not do? what gives me the right, right? What gives me that authority. And from my worldview, I have none, right? I have no authority to tell you how to live your life. Yeah. Just the same as you have no authority to tell me how to live mine. And I wouldn't want you to have that authority, just as like I would not want to have that authority over your life. I like democracy, yeah. I do like democracy, that we, like, whatever restrictions we put on life, I think that should be a combined effort, not a single person's or a single book's. I think it should be a combined effort. That if we live in a group together, then all of the group should have a say in what the rules should be. Yeah. I like that. Alright. The text continues. Stopping the destruction brought by such technologies requires not just regulating or eliminating individual items like pesticides or nuclear weapons. It requires new ways of thinking about humanity and new ways of relating to life. It requires the creation of a new worldview. Alright. That's why it's called Neo-Luddite, right? They create a new worldview from the previous Luddite worldview. Right, they create a new... That's why it's called Neo-Luddism. Nice. Oh, Neo-Luddite. I like new ideas, right? I don't have to agree with the worldview, but I applaud the effort of this text, yeah. And I'm gonna continue reading the text tomorrow because it's getting to lunchtime. Saitama says, do you believe the world is flat? No. Right? I believe the pictures. Actually, I think there's probably video as well, where they've filmed around. Yeah. With the gravity and all that stuff. Yeah. Like I said, I like science. I like science. And my understanding of science is that the world is round. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Also, I think, like, since I'm quite a bit of a pragmatist, so I think that's... There are not a lot of parts in my life where it really matters what I believe in that regard. Yeah, right. I don't do a lot of global... I guess metaphysically it makes... Yeah. From an worldview, from understanding how the world works. I like to have a non-human centric worldview, like if we're looking at stuff. Well, I try to, right? I concede that it is, but I try to, what was that word? They used something. Scientific detachment, yes. I like to practice scientific detachment. And having part of my worldview that the Earth is round or oval, I don't remember, right? Just having that idea, that kind of feels like scientific detachment for me. So from that kind of perspective, sure, it has value for me. What's one of your favorite laws of physics? Oh man, I'm not a physicist. I'm not a scientist. Like, I like science and I like scientists. I'm not a scientist myself. I mean, I did read... I tried to understand wait, what is it? The Einstein one, but I didn't quite grasp it. I think probably, right, rather than a law of physics, if we look at an experiment, probably the split, the double split experiment, where they shoot light through 2 splits, and it gets different responses depending on what you do. Actually, we can just take double split. We can show the pictures. Double split graph. No. Double split experiment. There we go. Yeah, this one. That when you have double splits, it becomes an interference pattern. But if you only have 1 split, it becomes the other pattern. Oh. Yeah, here we go. Wait, single split. Double split. It's weird. When you look into the science of how this works, how light works, it's just weird. Alright, 3 laws of Newton's. I don't remember those. Can we just search for Newton? Isaac Newton. Can we get that? Where are they? I thought they would come here. Equal and opposite reaction, right? That's the one I remember. So, what about... here we go. Laws of motion. That's the ones, right? First, second, third. Alright, first, object will stay at rest. That's kind of boring. I guess since, yeah, let's go with the opposite and equal reaction, because that's one I've seen that on TV a lot, so that's my favorite. Oh, hello, Lynx is me now. Nice to see you again. How are you doing today? Have you seen this before? What is this? Shining light through solid ball using quantum mechanics. Poison spot experiment? I've not seen that. Oh, look at that. Thanks for the tip. That sounds like fun. But that, like, if... I don't know if... I like theories more than laws. I don't like the idea of laws in general in science, because that doesn't feel like scientific detachment to me, right? So I don't like them as laws. I like theories more, right? Where they're changeable, right? Where the assumption is that this might all be wrong and be prepared to rework it. And my favorite theory is definitely the theory of evolution, because the theory of evolution, because it has so much value in explaining behavior. Like if you look from an evolutionary perspective, there's a lot of behavioral understanding one can get from that. Nice. Lynx is me now, says, I'm good, thanks. Or thank you. Nice. Very nice. Saitama SS4 says, my favorite would be every object in a state of uniform motion will remain in that state of motion unless an external force acts upon it. Yeah. And that's... Interestingly, from relative perspective, that can look as motion, like it can look as change in direction. Also, like, my favorite science thing that has happened recently is this picture. I love this fucking picture. Yeah. Favorite picture, indeed.
I'm gonna miss you when you go.
Latama SS4 says, and yeah, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. It's cool. Yeah, I've seen it on TV so many times. Oh man. Getting influenced by TV, right? Not self-reliant at all. Nice. Alright, but I think that's lunchtime. I think it's a good spot to stop for this one. Right, we got to the introductory parts, like where does Neo-Luddism come from? And tomorrow we will start reading about what Neo-Luddism, is. I'm kind of exciting. Let's see, Saitama SS4 says, speaking of wallpapers, have you seen Wallpaper Engine on Steam? I have not. I'll take a look. Alright, Wallpaper Engine. You stunning live wallpapers on your desktop. Oh, I'm a Linux user. I don't think this will work on Linux. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this will not work on Linux. Actually, let's see. Where is the... Isn't there like requirements? Here we go. Minimum. Windows. Recommended Windows. Yeah, I'm definitely sure this will not work on my operating system. Cool thing though. Unlucky? Oh, I don't know. We have other cool stuff on Linux that you don't have. So it's... And I'm super happy with my wallpaper, yeah. I even have this thing, right? I can do this thing. Wallpaper random. I have my random wallpaper script. Oh, I love this. Did you know that this is a photograph? I look at it and I don't believe it. Right? But someone I trust said that this is a photograph. And it's like, it doesn't look real. Cool image indeed. Saitama SS4 says, I'm sure you do, right? Yeah. Pros and cons. Yeah, I started using Linux through the open source philosophy because I like the ethics and the ideas, right? But then when I actually started learning and working within Linux, I'm just so happy with how it works, so I'm never going back to Windows. No, I'm happy. Super happy. But it's a learning curve, right? Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be, but to get where I am, it has taken a lot of learning. It has taken a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Well, no blood, a little bit of sweat, and a few tears. Yeah, a few tears. Because the learning curve, yeah. Alright. Oh man. Oh man. Coming soon? I mean, this is... I'm gonna play RimWorld soon again. I'm excited for that, yeah. But now, it is lunchtime. I'm gonna say thanks for hanging out, and thanks for the discussions. And, yeah. If you don't mind, I'm looking forward to talking more about religions. If you don't mind, that is, because I do enjoy talking about it with people where it doesn't become hostile. Yeah. I like the civility. Yeah. Nice. Usually they tend to turn hostile. I try to do my best to be civil, but yeah. Yeah. Sometimes people become rude, and if you feel that I've been rude, I didn't mean to be rude. I'm trying not to be, yeah. Alright. Saitama SS4 says, hope you have a good lunch. Thank you. Right. Good discussion. Nice to see your point of view. Thanks. Thanks indeed. Alright. And yeah. So cheers and have a good one. See you next time. Links is me now says, have a great day, Cider. You too, Links is me now. You too, indeed. Cheers.